Little run through today of a new video series, the CEO Mindset, which we'll get into just a moment. Colin, what is happening, my man?
I am fantastic, my brother. It's always good to connect with you on screen like this.
Yeah.
Love our interaction and love this series that we're putting together. So I'm excited to roll into it.
Yeah, CEO Mindset. You might be asking yourselves, what is it? Why am I watching? Why do I need to watch? These are all questions that we're going to answer right after the intro. So there's the intro without music. Next time it'll have music and it'll be awesome. Absolutely awesome. So
That is
this,
the beauty about us going live and within a day making a decision and then just putting something out. And what this has always taught us, Gary, is quickly getting into action.
yeah.
And that is something that I love.
Yeah, and that's really what's going to come out of this video series, the CEO Mindset. Of course, I'm Gary McGowan. That's Colin Campbell. I got the point right, because if I get it this way, that's a big thing. And over the last couple of years, many of you know, or if you're just joining us for the first time, we've taken on different leadership roles and had worn different hats. And most recently, Colin has taken on the ownership of a really large and successful real estate brokerage here in Toronto, Canada. And those are things that we're going to talk about, Colin. Like, we're going to talk about not only what it takes to be a leader, but the fact that how we can raise the lid of leadership and also of those around us, because in every conversation, as we were just chatting off air, we are always in a leadership conversation. And whether that is at home with our family or, with our colleagues or wherever it is, Colin, it is.
Or even just leading yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're always, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So let's kind of answer the question: why should people be watching this video series?
I think this video series, it just talks about the leadership mindset and how do leaders think, how do CEOs think, what is required for someone to become a CEO. A lot of it starts with your thinking, and this is something certainly, Gary, you and I will go into a lot more of. But I'm excited about the CEO mindset series, and yeah, there's a lot of great nuggets that could be captured in here.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about where this conversation goes. Different questions we get to ask each other.
Yeah.
More importantly, from time to time, who are we going to be bringing online with us? But you're right. This video series, podcast, live stream, whatever you want to call it, is going to be about the leadership roles within our own lives and raising the bar of our own lives. And I know you said something to me earlier. Everybody is a leader. Everybody is a CEO. And
Yes.
I thought that was really interesting, because you and I both know that although everyone is a leader in their own right, not everyone thinks of themselves as a leader. So how do we, not that we want to change that, but how do we open their minds up for that?
And I think it starts with us talking about it. Like, we're all leaders in our own lives, in our own world. And we should see ourselves as the CEO of our own life. And if now we're the CEO of our own life, I think now that puts the responsibility on us to make certain decision, to make wiser decision, to start planning, right? To start having me time. How do we structure our day? How do we structure our family life? What does vacation look like? How do we start planning for vacation and time off January 1st instead of just stumbling upon vacation, right? So where you're working now between play times, uh, versus the opposite, where you're just working for that weekend or working for that vacation in August or December. So these are things certainly we'll be touching on.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. And answer me this: Does are people born with leader? This we're going deep real fast, but are people born with leadership skills, or is it a learned trait? Like these are the conversations I know we're going to have over the next several videos.
It's funny because so many people argue, opposing sides, you're born a leader or you can learn how to lead. Either way, you're right, right? If you believe you're a born leader, just go there and lead. If you believe that you lack in certain leadership, where this is where you now decide that, okay, I'm going to go learn how to become a better leader, and I'm going to start investing in myself. So either way, you're right. Whether you think you are or you think you're not, right? You're right.
You're right. You're right. There's a
Yeah.
lot of rights there. I like it. You're right. Yeah, it's interesting too because as we think about the CEO mindset, we often think about very not what's the word I'm trying to think of, like big individuals, or in the sense you're leading big corporations
Yeah.
and things like that, big businesses, where, as you said, leading yourself. That's where I think you need to start. Obviously, talk to us a little bit about what people can do to lead themselves. Whether it doesn't matter if they're a leader of a big organization or maybe they're an employee in a sense.
I think it first starts with understanding who you are and who you want to be. And even in talking about, a CEO, before we were awarded that title of a CEO, whether it's a company or an organization, first you need to walk like a CEO, talk like a CEO, think like a CEO. There's a great book, Think and Grow Rich. The most important part there in that title is think. So if you believe that you're a CEO, now you're going to start doing certain things as a CEO that will lead you there. For those of us who are from Keller Williams, we know the be do have. So be a CEO mentally first, do the things the CEO will do, and then you'll have that CEO status, right? I know right now it's easy for anyone to become a CEO, where you can just print it on your card. You print a card from what? Vistaprint, and you can say CEO on it. But I think what is most important is when you stop referring to yourself as a CEO and people around you start seeing you as a CEO. I think that now becomes the more telling part, where now you have to now live up to that responsibility. And most importantly, it's I'm going to touch on something there where it could also be known as, CEOs are known to have an ego, right? But I think great CEOs, they know how to manage that ego.
Mm.
If you're a CEO of any company, there's no way you're going to get to that level without some level of ego involved. And that's just if you're running for president, if you're running for the head of an organization, there's some sort of ego involved in there. However, when you're being an effective CEO, you know how to manage that ego. And I think that's very important, knowing how to manage that. I think also great qualities of a CEO is humility and knowing when you need to be humble. And there are times where you don't know everything and you have to ask for help, right? So being humble as well is also part of being a great CEO. And because the truth is, people want to work with and for people who they consider humble. So that is just 2 points. There's more that we can touch on in there, but I think those are just the tip of the iceberg. CEOs are extremely driven.
Yeah.
Everyone in the room are looking at them as like, oh my gosh, when do you unplug? And if you're now considering, if you're working up towards a CEO of a company, or you're looking to build your business to that level, are people looking at you and seeing that you're just driven? Are you known for being driven? Whether it's working hard or working smart, maybe both, but are you seen as someone who's driven, hardworking, a go getter? Um, More traits that we can look at in terms of a CEO, they care about their people. Because in an organization, you can be the smartest CEO there, you can be the most brilliant head of the organization. But if your people don't believe in you, and they all decide to leave, you're out of luck. So I truly believe in being an effective CEO, you need to care about your people and understand that the people that you choose to partner with are your most valuable assets. So those are just some tips there, that just little pointers that as I was asked the questions that came to mind.
Well, it's interesting too, because as we talked about what should we talk about today, the simple
Yeah.
question was what is the CEO mindset? And I wonder if sometimes, people are afraid to think of themselves as a CEO or as a leader, and sometimes they're waiting for that permission,
Hmm.
right? They're waiting for somebody to say, "No, you are a leader."
Yeah.
Take it from Colin and I and many others, not just us. You are a leader. That is, if you're waiting for someone to give you permission, now is your now is your chance. Now is your time
You
to
just got
shine.
it. You just got that permission because you are the CEO of your life. And your life is one of the most valuable things that you'll know of. So while you're here on this planet, this blue ball that just, spins around in the universe, what would you like to accomplish? What are some of your goals? What are some of your dreams? And work towards that. How do you now manage your own life, manage your own time? We know things are going to be extremely hard. At times, things are going to be hard, but then almost at the end of it is where you see the reward. It's for us to plant, for a tree to grow, we have to see it, plant that seed needs to go into the ground. It's almost contradictory to anything that we would believe. We need to put it into the ground, have the right soil. We need to water it, nurture it for it to grow into something fruitful. And a lot of the times in our own lives, we're going through things that are usually, crafting us to become something amazing, and more often or not, we give up before we hit that mark. So just see yourself as the CEO of your own life and what you intend to accomplish. And a CEO knows their strengths and their weaknesses, and they reach out to people that are stronger in certain areas than them, and they ask for help, right? As a CEO, there's no way you can know everything. There's CEO of tech companies out there who know nothing about tech.
Yeah, yeah.
However, they're good with people. They're good with leading people, managing people. They're good with managing themselves. So it all comes back to you starting to see yourself as a CEO and manage your own life in that way.
And part of that too is, and I like the question that you asked a little bit earlier. What is it that you want to accomplish in life? And I think the follow up question or part B of that question is, okay, and now who do I need to have in my life to accomplish those things? And
Yeah.
that's that. Though I think that deserves an entire video itself. And I think those are the questions that we're going to ask on these videos too. And the other thing I want to dive into a bit, Colin, here, not necessarily, over the next video series and so forth, is, what questions should we be asking other leaders?
Well, we know great leaders ask great
Yeah.
questions. And if you study any great leader, they're asking great questions. It's not asking questions just for question's sake. It's just so that they can get a greater understanding. And
Yeah.
sometimes they ask questions because they just don't know. Most people are afraid to say, I don't know, help me understand. And as a leader, as a CEO, you're going to say, okay, guys, that went way over my head. Break this down for me, please.
Yeah.
And it's okay like that. But we all know great leaders ask great questions, not more so to understand what are driving those behaviors, but also to understand the situation as well.
Yeah, and if anybody, heaven forbid, because it'd be all over the place. If you saw Colin and my text messages over the last like 8 or 9 years, you would see filtered into it different questions that we may have heard or we've thought of, and
Yeah,
we're like, oh,
yeah,
this is a great question. I got to send that to Garrett, Colin, or so forth, and that's
absolutely.
just that's just what we just love to seek information like that. And I have a whole notes. I use notes in my iPhone, and you've seen it
Mhm.
before, of just question after question after question after question. And I believe it's KW Maps, which is the coaching program for Maps. And when, you know, Colin, when Diana Kokoska ran it,
Yes.
part of the Maps coaching team homework every day, if you will, to keep them sharp, was to write 10 new questions every day.
That's right.
And we know many Maps coaches that they say that's what taught us to think, you know, uh, not only bigger, but to also think in different roads and different avenues, so they can get down to the answer, get to the nitty gritty, peel that onion away for that coaching client or that negotiation or that colleague that you're helping through a struggle, because they already know the answer. You just have to lead them through questions to get to that answer, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Great leaders ask great questions. There's a lot of books out there that will help you, develop that side of your brain where you're asking or you're learning how to ask great questions. So a great CEO, and if you're being a CEO of your life, it's also understanding that desire to be better, to be just 1% better than I was yesterday. And we notice that in every CEO, where they're not only raising the bar, they're constantly raising the bar, not just for themselves, but for the people around them. And we study great CEOs, you and I, Gary, and we know some of the great CEOs, they're not easy to work with because we know they're constantly raising that bar. And this is what we wanted yesterday, but I delivered this, and now you're saying this is not good enough. Right now, because we're better than we were yesterday. So it's being in that state of constant and never ending improvement of yourself. I think Tony Robbins call it can I constant and never ending improvement.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. So we are going to keep these videos to approximately 20 minutes every time we come on, and we're just wrapping up on our 20 minutes now. But here's the thing, guys, is if there's a question out there, or there's a certain leadership topic, send it to message Colin and I. We're happy to dive into it. And you know as well as anybody that, you know, we'll do our best, but we're going to go seek the professional or the individual or the expert that has that knowledge or that insight. And these videos too are going to share some insight of, you know, what it takes to lead a large organization like Keller Williams Realty Centers, the brokers that Colin owns, and what it takes not only to continue to lead it and grow it, Colin, but the journey on how you got there. And because I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, right? They see that and they're like, "Yep, that's going to be me," but they don't have an idea or a plan to get there. And we're going to peel that onion away over the next several of these live streams on what that looks like and that journey of that path, and more importantly, who you need to have on your team, because you cannot do this alone.
Well said. And a leader is as strong as the people on his team. So, Gare, I look forward to diving deep into these series with you. It's going to be an exciting ride. I look forward to it, my brother.
Very good. We'll see everybody on the next video. Bye for now.